You would
I
not
could
be able to
Google
find me.
search you
No, you
and
wouldn't.
I could find out where you lived,
No, you
if you
couldn't.
had kids, where your kids went to school.
No, you
It's
couldn't.
so easy. Like do a
It's,
Google search on yourself. Do it
I
right
have.
now.
I have.
Do it.
And
Okay.
nothing comes up.
What does it pull up?
Nothing comes up.
Your known addresses, right? You can
Nope.
pay like
Nope.
$5 and
You can
find out
go
anything you want about
from my
anybody.
profile right
It
here,
is so easy, and
from
you
my
are so
profile right
ignorant and
here.
uneducated.
I will
The
pay
cops
someone
are going to show up to your
$100
house. They
if
have
someone
guns.
posts my
Oh,
address
All
in the
right, Tua is
comments.
doing
I
a
will
lot
give
of
you
talking.
$100. But there's no way that anybody could find me. I mean, from my profile, you can get my full name, and there's no way anybody could find me. If they post my address in the comments, I will give you $100. Good luck.
What if I do it?
Well, you've been here, so you're not allowed to.
Okay, Tua, you can unmute your mic. There was just a lot of talking from both sides. So let's redirect back to gun control, or we'll move on to the next guest.
He's not smart enough to understand. He just wants to.
It's in his username. It says Tua Taxidermy. I think he's smart enough.
I am smart enough, but the point is she's not listening to me here. If she would just shut her mouth for 5 seconds and listen to where I'm going with this, okay? Your gun control system that you think works, your alarm system's going to go off. The cops are going to show up. They have guns, okay? Now, if you think that that cop is going to be there before the criminal that doesn't give a shit about gun control gets to you and kills you, then you're wrong.
I don't
All
think-
these schools that get attacked, like every single day on a daily,
I don't live-
Chicago, New York,
Yeah, I don't-
every other place in the United States, criminals don't care about gun control. They're criminals for a reason. They buy guns out of vans. They buy guns out of the trunk of a car just to come and kill people like you. Because you're an easy target. Gun control does nothing but take from law-abiding citizens. I've been waiting 136 days for a suppressor. Okay, I have my fingerprints done. I already have a concealed permit, which I've had for 10 years. And I have to wait 136 days for a suppressor that does nothing but protect my ears?
Or do you want to let anybody else talk?
Well, I'm trying to prove a point here because you talk over everybody else with your Google search. And that's all you have.
So do you disagree with DC versus Heller? You don't think that's real?
Oh, I know it's real.
Okay. So what did it? What in DC versus
That
Heller?
doesn't matter
Why does that not?
because we are current right now. Current scenario right now.
So
We have the right to own a gun on a private sale. We were all militia one day. That's why the Second Amendment exists. It
can I
says
ask you a question?
a well-regulated militia being necessary to a free
Can I
state, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Yep.
That last part, shall not be infringed. That's all you need to hear.
Can I ask you a question?
Of course you can.
So if DC versus Heller was overturned tomorrow, would we be able to enact a nationwide
Thanks for the confetti.
assault weapon ban?
We'll define as an assault weapon.
Hey, Lauren and
The statement from
Taxidermy.
90
Wait, hey, both of you, just chill out for a second. Are you guys able to have a conversation for 5 minutes? I got to run down the street and get something. Do you think you can hold
Oh, of
for
course.
5 minutes?
Oh, of course.
Lauren?
Fine.
Fine.
Love you. Bye.
I love you too.
Well, define an assault weapon.
How it's defined in the 1994 assault weapon ban.
And what is that? Without Googling.
Weapons banned by either specific make or model, by specific characteristics that slightly varied according to whether the weapon was a pistol, rifle, or shotgun.
Okay, so what's an assault weapon?
Exactly what I said.
No, that's what Google says. You didn't say that. Google says that. What's an assault weapon to you? An AR-15 is not an assault weapon.
Do you think that I need to memorize exactly what this act says in order for it to be a valid
Oh,
law?
no. No, because I'm not on Google right now, and I don't have to memorize everything either. You just need to be knowledgeable
Wait,
in what you're talking
I'm
about,
just asking
especially if you're going to cuss at people about it.
I'm just going to ask you a question. In order for something to be a valid law, do I have to have memorized the exact language, me specifically?
Oh no. You just have to be level-headed and actually be smart enough to know why the Second Amendment exists in the first place.
Do you have a problem with looking up the exact verbiage in order to be correct?
You don't have to have exact verbiage to be correct, and it doesn't matter exactly what your 2008 thing says or what exactly the Constitution says. The point
Wait, if we're
that everybody in this live is trying to get at is if the Second Amendment doesn't exist, you wouldn't be here right now. Our founding fathers fought for the very freedom that you have to be so uneducated right now.
heard.
You are here because of guns, literally. That's it. Do you think that the wars were fought with your hockey stick in your closet or your tennis racket, whatever it may be? Do you think we were here because of that?
Were those fought by
No,
militias?
it's guns. Guns.
They were fought by militias, correct?
Right. But what do you think a militia is?
Yeah. Militia prior to 2008, militia in the Constitution referred to the state armies.
No, that's not what a militia is. That might be what Google says, but a militia could be anybody. I could be a militia. I could go down the street and sign up to be in a militia.
Right. You could sign up to be one. That doesn't mean you are one right now, correct?
No, you don't need to be a militia member to own a gun or have a gun right.
What is one? We're talking about what is one under the Constitution.
It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. We're about gun control here.
Wait, we're talking about the Constitution.
Right.
Yes.
Do you know what do you know what the Second Amendment says? Can you read it off the top of your head without Googling?
Does whether or not I know it off the top of my head change what's actually in the Constitution?
No, but if you want to talk about militias, you need to know what the Second Amendment actually says and entails.
Right, and we have to look at DC versus Heller in order to do that.
Why do we have to do that? Militias existed before 2008.
I agree. But the definition of what militia in the Second Amendment changed to private citizens in 2008, correct?
Yeah, I don't know about that, but a lot of stuff has changed since 1776.
Ooh, I got you there, didn't I?
No, you didn't get me with anything, really. I'm just saying, where do you think we came from? Militias have existed for longer than any of us have been alive, so
can you tell me what...
If it wasn't for militias, you wouldn't be here right now being so uneducated.
Can you tell me what U.S. versus Miller, the 1939 Supreme Court case, said?
Did you just Google that? Because I can tell you're not looking at me, you're looking at your computer.
Sure. But
Can you tell me what it says without looking at your computer? Look at me instead of your screen on your computer and tell me what it says.
I want to give you exact information.
Okay, well, I could give you exact information too if I got on my computer and started Google searching things.
I think that you should. I think that having exact information, especially when we're talking about something so exact as the Constitution, is much more important than what you think it says. No?
Okay, so while you're on your computer, why don't you type in, does gun control work? And see what your little Google search history does for you.
Let's see.
Exact wordage. Does gun control work?
Let's see. We want to talk about... I want to get the exact verbiage for you because I think that's important even if you don't.
I just gave you the exact verbiage. Google, does gun control work? And then grab your phone and show everybody on this live what it says before you make up some bullshit. Because you know that gun control does not work.
We do know that it works, yes.
How? How does gun control work? You tell me right now without looking at your computer. How does gun control work?
Sure, because when you look at... would you agree that blue states have more gun regulations than red states?
Oh, yeah. Look at Chicago. They have the toughest gun laws
One more question.
around, and they have more crime than anybody else.
One more
So tell me, how does
You
gun
think-
control in Chicago work?
Hang on. Do you think that gun control regulations are decided on the state level or the city county level?
Probably state,
State. Yes, I agree.
because it's a blue state.
So when we look at states, red states have more gun crime than blue states.
No, they don't. No, they don't. You're wrong.
Yes.
You're wrong. I live in Utah. It's a red state. We own more guns than a lot of states around put together, and we have way less crime than Chicago. Chicago is like
Sure.
the most,
Can you tell me what the number one state for gun violence is? In
probably
2020?
Chicago.
Chicago's not a state, babe.
Well, Illinois, whatever, I'm just saying, in Chicago alone.
You're wrong.
What is it then? It's
wanna-
right next door, probably.
You want to take another guess? Well, all the
Not really.
states are red states.
Not really. No, you got it right there. You're so smart with your Google search. So why don't you tell me?
Number one is Mississippi. Number two is
Okay,
Louisiana.
and is that a blue state or is that a red state?
What do you think, Mississippi?
Oh, you're on it. Why don't you tell me?
Mississippi is very red. I hate to tell
Okay,
you.
what about Utah? What about Idaho? What about Wyoming?
Wyoming's number three. Number three. Do you know what number two is? You want to tell me what number two is?
Why don't you tell me? You're on there.
Louisiana. You think that's a red state or a blue state?
I don't really know and I don't care.
Louisiana's another.
What are you
red
on? Liberal Google search? Because
state. That's
Utah
exactly-
owns a lot of guns and we have like
What
the
number
least
four is?
crime
You
rate.
wanna
So
tell me what number four is?
how many gun related incidents do you think are with AR-15s versus pistols?
Do you want to tell me? Do you want to guess where Illinois is on the list?
Where's it at? You're telling me. I'm not going to guess.
27. So that's
Oh, wow.
the bottom half.
No, I doubt it. I bet it's the worst.
So Mississippi.
But you're still not telling me how gun control works. So why don't you get off Google
Louisiana,
and tell me how you think gun control
Missouri,
works?
Alabama, Alaska, New Mexico, Arkansas, South Carolina, Tennessee. That's the top 10. Are any of those states blue?
You're not telling me how gun control works.
Because the state laws in blue states clearly have lowered the gun violence compared to the top 10, where 9 out of 10 states are red.
That doesn't tell me how gun control works. How do you think gun control works? Your own opinion. How does gun control work?
Because the majority of gun violence is done by legal gun owners.
It's not. No, it's not.
That
No,
is
it's
just
not.
a fact. I mean, I don't know how you
No, it's not.
not.
You're wrong.
How? Okay, can you give me a source? I gave you my source. I gave you the top 10 states. What is
Do you know
your-
how many legal gun owners are in the United States versus non-legal
Give me a source.
gun owners, criminals, felons?
Give me a source.
I don't need a source. It's facts.
It's not a fact.
It is.
It's not a fact.
It is.
So if I look up, is more gun violence done by legal or illegal gun ownership, I will find illegal.
Most likely, yeah.
Okay, let's look it up.
But if you trust the Google search versus like everyday reality
No.
and common sense, then
Now,
you're wrong anyway.
now we just
How do you think the gun control process works?
problem with people like
How do you?
is that when you
Okay.
lose, you just invalidate every source.
I'm not losing. You're still not telling me how you think gun control works. What do you think happens when you go to buy a gun? What's the first thing you do when you walk into a gun dealer and do? What do they do?
Hey,
Daddy's back.
this guy's an idiot.
I know. I've been
Oh,
listening.
Oh, you have?
I'm sure you have on the toilet with your bottle of Jergens
Give me
What?
any source that
in your mommy's basement.
I gave
Actually,
So you
your
go
mother's-
down. You go down to buy a gun.
all he
They
did
take your driver's
was he got,
license.
like
They do a search on you, and it doesn't just happen in 2 seconds. It sometimes takes about a half hour. And as long as you have no pending charges, no felonies, you're allowed to buy a gun because you're a law-abiding citizen.
Half hour is enough time.
Yeah, it is plenty of time, because if you're a law-abiding citizen and there's nothing pending on you, you have no charges, then yeah, you should be able to buy any gun that you want.
Shooter. It was enough time.
Doesn't usually take a half hour, by the way.
How long did it take you? When was the last time you bought a gun? Instantaneous. You're so full of shit.
1 month.
No, I'm serious. 1 month ago, on my 21st, 3 days after I turned 21, I filled out my 4473, and by the time I came up to the counter, when they had the gun, my background check was already done. Dumbass.
Dumbass. Okay. How many guns you got?
Yeah, I mean, you act like you know a lot about guns. You're talking to someone that also owns them. You don't know everything, buddy.
You're 21, but you probably own one gun. You probably just barely bought your first gun.
3, but yeah.
23. So how many guns do you got? How many times have you actually bought a gun?
Can I just give you
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Counting's hard.
Good mentality there, bud.
I just want to
Good mentality.
So, we're talking about as of August of 2023. So
And you're still Googling.
What is wrong with Googling, dude? She's just fact-checking
Because
her
I'm
sources.
asking her off the top of her
Google it,
head
bro.
for like the last half hour
Hang
if
on.
she can tell me how she thinks off the top of her head,
Okay,
how
but
she
here's the
thinks
thing.
gun control works.
I got you. Let me just mute him for a second.
I'm not
Here's the thing.
asking you.
Let me, I don't care who you're asking. Here's the thing. She doesn't own guns, I do. She's still proving your point wrong. She's using a search engine and data to back up and substantiate her claims. There's nothing wrong with that. You're just crying and being a pussy because you don't like that she's using a search engine to discount what you're saying, right? It's literally a search engine. What's your address so I can sip you some tissues for it, right? Just chill out, man. It's not a big deal. You can Google too. It doesn't matter. The point at the end of the day is you're still wrong. So you guys can continue.
All I want to say real fast is that 2A made the claim that the majority of mass shootings in the United States were made by illegally obtained weapons. Statistica says in the last 116 mass shootings in the U.S., 100 of them were involved weapons that were obtained legally, and only 16 were illegal, meaning the majority of mass shootings in the U.S. happened with legally obtained guns. Therefore, we should make it harder for these people to legally obtain them. If you have the ability, if you make it harder for these people to own guns, they will not own them. And if you believe that you are a law-abiding citizen that should be allowed to own these guns, then you will still be able to, you will still be able to own them. If you believe that putting these restrictions on will not allow you to own guns, then you shouldn't own guns, period.
So what do you think needs to happen for tougher gun control? What do you think needs to happen?
If you believe that tougher gun control means that you will not own guns, that you will not be allowed to own them, you should not be owning them.
What do you think needs to happen then? What is tougher gun control for you?
Background checks, waiting
There
periods.
is background checks. There is waiting periods.
Tougher background checks, longer waiting periods, red flag laws.
So what's longer waiting period to you?
Closing the boyfriend loophole. Do you agree with that one?
What is a longer waiting period for you?
10
6
days.
months.
10 days. Okay,
6
so
months?
after. Okay, let's call it a year. Let's just go with a year. 2 years for that matter. So a criminal that has just like this wild idea in his head to go shoot up a school wants to go buy a gun. He's like, oh, sure, I can wait a year or a few years. I'm going to do the waiting period. Don't have any charges on me right now, or at least not got caught, Go buy a gun, wait the waiting period for that year, 2 years, 3 years, and then still goes and shoots up a school. Is that longer waiting period even worth it? If he has those ill intentions to begin with, he's still going to do it. Meanwhile, guy that's already bought guns before has to wait a year because of what you think needs to happen, when all he wants to do is just go target practice, have fun, teach his kids how to shoot guns. A 22, like
Okay, go.
the smallest caliber, a year waiting period.
If you want to teach your kids how to shoot guns, why can't you go to a range and use the guns that they have there?
Because most ranges don't have guns. They're specifically designed for you to bring your own guns.
What range do you go to that doesn't have guns for rent? I've never been
ranges there.
That is just not true at all. That's not true at all.
There you go.
Not every range has guns for rent.
Maybe not every range. Well, where do you live? The middle of Alabama?
No, I live in Utah, but not every gun range in every state has guns for rent.
Most do. Most do.
A new business for them. They can rent out guns. They'll make more money. There you go. New business for gun.
Yeah, that is a good idea. But still,
right.
Those guys that own that business, do you think that they should have to wait 2 years to have a new gun for somebody to rent when they've been doing it for decades before?
Well, usually gun.
Okay, so here's another question for you. Some guy wants to go rent a gun to go shoot at the range, so he says. He rents that gun, goes out in the back to that dirt hill and shoots his targets, but then he just takes off with it and goes and shoots somebody with it. It's not registered to him. Guess who's registered under it?
That should be
the owner of that business.
Sure. I mean, they can.
Okay, so
should they not report it?
Should there be tougher rental laws then? Should you have to wait a year to go to a range to rent a gun?
What is this slippery slope you're trying to do?
The slippery slope that I'm trying to talk about is what you're saying. If I should have to wait a year to buy a gun, then the guy that's renting a gun should have to have somebody wait a year to rent one, right? It's the same thing, because I could go down and rent a gun and steal it and go shoot anybody I want with it.
I wish he was smart enough.
A criminal is a criminal, and it will always be a criminal. They're always going to find a way to get a gun.
Hey, Tui, I'm going to put another 2-minute time limit on this. I have 24 people in the guest requests.
Well, I'm sure there's 24 other people that are ready to just end her because she is so illiterate. So are you. Like, you guys don't have any idea.
I haven't even talked about. What are you talking about?
No, but you like to throw the birds. You want to talk to me? Let's talk then. Let's kick Lauren off of here. What do we
disagree with? Do you disagree with 10-day minimum delay background checks like New York and California have implemented?
I don't necessarily believe that a 10-day waiting period is too bad or too extreme. Is it necessary? No, it's not.
Well, the whole point of it is that they can better look they can cross-reference with local agencies and psychiatric care facilities to make sure that they're able to own a firearm. Do you think
they already do that?
No, they do not. Not as extensively.
Okay,
as they
the
do
last
in the
time
background checks. Hold on.
The last time that you purchased a gun,
sir. I knew you and Lauren were chirping over each other. But I'm going to finish my sentence and then you can respond or you're just going to be kicked. We clear?
Go for it.
Thank you. So, like I was saying, it is not as extensive as what California and New York are doing. And on top of which, there's also been studies that have shown that those minimum delay background checks that are pushed past 10 days have reduced suicide rates per capita in those jurisdictions. Would you like to respond to that, or do you just want to say the data's fake?
It really doesn't matter, dude. Federal background checks are already nationwide. You think it doesn't that there's matter, not?
Wait, hold on. Directly respond to what I just said. Instead of saying it doesn't matter and then just go to back, respond directly to what I just said.
There are already psychiatric questions on your background check that you do when you buy a gun.
No, under 4473. Literally, do you know most people lie on their 4473? Do you know how many people were criminalized for lying on their 4473 in 2020? Guess how many people? It's a number. It's a really high number that you probably can't count to. It's 3.
Okay, so if it's easy to lie on it, then why are more gun laws or more gun control going to help?
That's exactly why we need more gun control, because the ones we have that the dumbass Republicans are implementing don't fucking work.
Right.
No.
So
shit,
why is gun control going to work?
Because we need the FBI to have extensive background checks so that you don't have an option to opt out or lie on your 4473 like literally everybody does. Like, hey, have you ever smoked weed? No, I've never smoked weed. No shit, everyone's smoked weed. Everyone lies on the fucking form. Literally everyone does it. Okay? No one gives a fuck. And you've done it too. And you're obviously not going to admit it, but you've done it.
I've actually never lied on any of mine because I have no reason to lie.
You absolutely
I have no reason to lie.
You're lying right now on the live.
Am I? What am I lying about?
Is your penis bigger or smaller than 2 inches?
Oh, I barely even have one, dog.
Okay, well, at least he's telling the truth on that. Anyways, do we have any other things you want to talk about?
Yeah, how? I'm still waiting for somebody to tell me how exactly they think gun control is going to work.
I just gave you an
Regardless of
example.
the longer
I
waiting
just
period
gave
or
you an
not.
example.
Closing the
Okay,
borders
so
is-
tell the criminal, how is gun control going to work?
Here's the thing. You have to explain this. If these areas and jurisdictions, these blue cities and blue states like California and New York that have the strictest gun control in the country, why is their homicide, suicide, and CPC law per capita 2 to 5 per 100,000, and other states like St. Louis, Missouri, cities within red states, such as Missouri, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Arkansas, have the highest, and I don't just mean highest, I mean highest in the world for homicide rates per capita. You know, St. Louis is in the top 10. They are with Mexico. And you're telling me gun laws don't work? You need to explain the gap.
They don't. They won't.
He told me it was fake. I
Oh,
told him.
he said it was fake? He thinks he thinks the FBI statistics are fake?
Yes.
Whoever,
He told
whoever,
me Chicago's the #1 state, and that's the only info he'll.
Chicago's like top 30.
So Chicago's not even a state. He told me Chicago was the #1 state.
Oh, he said Chicago was a state? Oh, well, we got to move on to the next guest. This guy needs to get into a psych ward immediately.
That's what I said.
He said Chicago. Megan, please, I can't. Thank you for the galaxy, Megan. Please stop it, Megan. I can't take your fucking money.
Can we
Megan.
talk about something more fun?
Yeah, do you want to talk? What do you want to talk? Do you want to do abortion?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't know if I have a background for abortion. Hold on, dude. We got a lot. We have 28 guests right now.
If you want to.
Lauren, you're gonna have to talk to. There's been a lot of people waiting. You got to talk to a couple more before we switch topics.
I'm just going to tell them they have small dicks and they need to leave.
All right, well, you're going to get me banned. So, by the way, guys, if you do want to, feel free. If you like the content, feel free to follow. If you don't like the content, block me or don't block me. You know you like my face. Also, look, I'm almost at my subscriber goal. I'm 10 away from 51. If you subscribe, sometimes I dance, sometimes I don't. If I dance, I get hurt usually. I spun around in my chair earlier and I hurt my back. Please subscribe to me. I'm a broke college student. Please subscribe.
Subscribe to AJ.
Subscribe to AJ. There's a star up there.
And join the Discord.
And join the Discord. Linktree in bio. Okay, here we go. Moving on. Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna do it? Mod, make a poll. Okay, here we go. Sub an ageable dance. I don't dance well, but I will do it. All right, we're gonna just randomly start selecting people. We're gonna do Russian roulette here, no pun intended. Cody, how are you tonight, Cody?
Hey, buddy. How are you guys?